A thread by Brian Cates. Amazing that the DNC media hacks are still flogging the dead Russiagate horse when Durham is rolling out indictments about it. Anybody who thinks this stops with Kleinsmith hasn't followed Spygate at all. Think about what the Kleinsmith indictment reveals. The FBI and the Mueller team were well aware by June of 2017 they needed to hide from the FISA court Carter Page's relationship is a longtime source for the CIA. Well, why did they need to hide it? Relationship as a longtime source for the CIA. I'll tell you why. Their evidence for the warrant alleging Page was a Russian agent came from political operative Christopher Steele, who was one, paid by the Clinton campaign, two, using a source that turned out to be a low-level research assistant at the Brookings Institute. That's a left-wing think tank, by the way. If the FBI admits to the FISA court, one, Steele is a paid employee of the Clinton campaign, two, using Brookings' research assistant as his source, and three, but the CIA itself says Page is not a Russian agent, but a CIA intelligence asset, well, they're not going to get the warrant. So, not only did the FBI and then also the Mueller team end up hiding all three of these things from the FISA court to get the original warrant, they kept the fraud going all through the three subsequent renewals of the warrant. Kleinsmith altered an email from the FBI that stated that Page was a CIA source so that it read, he was not a source. We know exactly why Kleinsmith did that. Admitting Page was a CIA good guy destroys the basis for the surveillance warrant. The moment the FISA court was alerted to the fact that the CIA claimed Page as one of their own, who had actually aided the agency in cracking up a Russian spy ring from 2008 to 2013, the court would look more closely at the supposed evidence coming from Steele. So, Kleinsmith altered the one copy of the CIA email that was being sent up to the FISA court for that third renewal of the Page warrant, while sending other team members accurate copies of the same email. Guess what that's going to allow Durham to prove? And Durham doesn't even need the June 2017 CIA email to prove this. It'll allow Durham to prove that the entire FBI Crossfire Hurricane team and the entire Mueller Special Counsel's office knew Carter Page was a longtime CIA intelligence source working with the agency to track Russian spies. It's right there in the DOJ IG Horowitz FISA abuse report from last December that the FBI Special Supervisory Agent Stephen Soma deliberately hid a lot of stuff from the FISA court to get the Page warrant, including that Page was a long-time CIA source. Just one example of 6 things Soma did. Soma withheld exculpatory statements that both Carter Page and George Papadopoulos made, while FBI informant Stefan Halper was secretly recording them. At one point, while Halper was trying to lead Papadopoulos into saying something incriminating about Russian contacts, asking if he'd help arrange help with the Russian government to aid the Trump campaign in the election, George blurted out, "That would be treason." As I've discussed before, the FBI Crossfire Hurricane team wasted the entire summer of 2016 on a strategy of having Halper secretly record Page and Papadopoulos in an attempt to get them to say something they could use for a spy warrant. Halper completely failed at this. So, People need to grasp this. When Plan A failed, Halper getting Carter Page, George Papadopoulos to say something incriminating on tape, they were forced to move to Plan B, using the Steele dossier to get the spy warrant. But the entire time, they had to suppress the CIA info about Page. Horowitz documented tons of stuff that the FBI Crossfire Hurricane team and then the Mueller team deliberately hid from the FISA court. They got the initial warrant only by committing massive fraud against the court and then continued the fraud to get the warrant renewed 3 times. What Horowitz did with this investigation and his FISA abuse report is that he established the basis for the Durham Russiagate hoax investigation. And you know who established the basis for the Horowitz OIG investigation? This will blow your mind. This guy right here. I did what? It's Robert Mueller, if you're just listening. Oh yes, indeed. As I love to say, whatever he might have thought he and his bloodthirsty pack of prosecutor bloodhounds would accomplish, what did the Mueller special counsel actually end up establishing about Trump-Russia election collusion? Mueller's investigation proved there never was any evidence whatsoever that Carter Page or any other Trump associate were Russian agents. If there was any evidence of that, he would have found it. Because Mueller's extensive and exhaustive investigation turned up not a shred of evidence that Trump or any of his associates were Russian agents or colluding with the Russian government during the 2016 election, this naturally led to a very relevant and important question. If there never was any evidence that Trump and his people were Russian agents or colluding with Putin during the election, how did this Russiagate hoax happen? Who launched it? How was it sustained for so long? Hey, you, Horowitz, get in here and find out how this happened. Sessions was recused from all Russiagate matters at that time because he was a target of the Russiagate hoax himself. They were accusing him of being a Russian agent, so it was Rosenstein that directed the IG to do this. So Horowitz goes in, having just finished the Clinton email. While Horowitz is digging, finding millions of documents, including the struck page texts, he's also looking over the Mueller team's shoulders. Mueller and his team therefore don't dare to try to fake anything. Strzok and Lisa Page were yanked off the team early, a clear warning. So while Mueller is still frantically digging at the end of 2017, Rosenstein is watching Mueller, noting the FBI Crossfire Hurricane team had no actual evidence of Russian agents, collusion to hand off to Mueller, and Horowitz is looking into how this farce got started. During the course of the OIG investigation, Horowitz finds and exhaustively documents that not only did the FBI Crossfire Hurricane team never have any real evidence, they were in fact suppressing exculpatory evidence and hiding it from the FISA court to ensure they got the warrants. Sessions has departed by this time. Rosenstein is getting ready to retire, and so at this point, Barr reveals publicly that some time back he had tapped United States Attorney John Durham to take the evidence Horowitz found and do his own investigation as to how this Russiagate hoax happened. And then we had to wait for over a year for Durham to reach the point he got his first plea deal in the Russiagate hoax. And that first deal points right at the heart of the fraud. They all knew Carter Page wasn't a Russian agent. They knew, in fact, they knew Carter Page was actually a CIA intelligence source helping the CIA to track and bust up Russian spy rings, even before they submitted a warrant to the FISA court in October of 2016, claiming on fake evidence he was a Russian agent working with the Putin government. That's how we got here. And this is where the Durham investigation is starting its prosecutions, demonstrating Everyone involved in this Russiagate hoax knew from the beginning their basis for claiming Page was a traitor to his country was based on fraud. So, you're about to watch DNC media hacks like David Ignatius suffer from cognitive dissonance as they keep trying to claim the Russiagate hoax is alive and well, even as John Durham is rolling out indictments of the people that perpetrated it. Gonna be a fun couple of weeks. Thanks for listening, and remember, Planet Fitness likes to abuse the rights of the disabled.